This is the Defenders podcast on TV Podcast Industries, and we're here talking about Spider-Noir Episode 4, A Mistake I'll Never Make Again.
Beautiful song. You wrote it?
I did.
We prefer the splashier numbers. I thought we were celebrating.
Killing people?
A couple of rats who tried to put you in a hole. Reilly kept you out of it.
I'll drink to that. Any regrets on the fact you almost killed me for nothing tonight?
Yeah, I don't dwell.
Maybe you should start.
Well, it's getting late.
Oh, no chance. You and me are drinking tonight. Be a dog and grab us a bottle of the yellow spot. Enjoy the spot whiskey. We're going up a notch.
Welcome back, fellow Defenders. This is the Defenders podcast on TV Podcast Industries, and we're talking about episode 4 of this season of Spider-Noir, entitled A Mistake I'll Never Make Again. I am one of your hosts, John.
I am your other host, Derek. What's a mistake you'll never make again, John?
Podcast.
After 11 years.
I know, exactly.
You tell me it was a mistake. Oh my God.
No, it's not a mistake. Of course it's not. No.
A mistake.
I'm only joking. I'm joking. Probably that mistake I'll never make again. I have no regrets.
Well, I would say underestimating Spider-Noir. I won't make that mistake again. Live-action Spider-Man outside of the Tom Holland Spider-Man has been pretty awful, so I assumed this was going to be bad, and it isn't. It's really good, so that's a mistake I'll never make again.
Excellent stuff. Yes. Well, I think we are resolved then on what mistakes we'll never make again. But before we get into our spoiler-filled discussion, fellow Defenders, you can subscribe to the podcast over on our website at tvpodcastindustries.com on any thwipping or swinging podcast catcher of your choice.
Nice.
You can also leave us thoughts at feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com or over on our spoiler-filled comments at our Facebook group. Just head on over to facebook.com/groups/TV Podcast Industries. We are also on Discord. You'll be able to connect with us in the show notes. And of course, we love, with all of this stuff, to get your thoughts, theories, and observations on everything to do with these episodes of Spider-Noir.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think with that, fellow Defenders, we can move on into our who did, what, where, when, how, and why. Derek, what are some of the episode details?
Well, halfway through the series, so I'll say it again, the showrunner for the show is Oren Uziel, who was previously well known for his work with Lord and Miller on the 22 Jump Street franchise. John, did you know 24 Jump Street was announced this week? They will all be coming back.
Excellent.
22 Jump Street was fantastic. 21 Jump Street was great. They've skipped 23 Jump Street because the story didn't seem like fun in those closing credits when they were doing 25, 27, 152 Jump Street. So they are doing 24 Jump Street next, and I wonder if Oren Uziel will come back for some scripting duties on that.
Excellent.
That'd
Yeah.
be kind of fun, wouldn't it?
Well, in fairness, now he has taken something like Mortal Kombat, and at least the 2021 version of it, it was pretty good.
It was really good,
it's
yeah.
really difficult, I think, to sort of make a sort of movie from such a property, I would have thought. I mean, it's basically, unless you do it like Rocky or something like that.
Yeah, like he's just done some really good stuff and a great job here on Spider-Noir. So let's see if he does return for that. All they're talking about is the cast that are coming back for the next one. So, but the episode was written by Tori Sampson. This is the only episode of Spider-Noir that she's written, but she is a writer on Hunters and Citadel, both for Prime Video as well. So great to have her on board here for Spider-Noir. The episode was directed once again by Nzingha Stewart, who directed episode 3 as well, which we spoke about last time.
Great stuff. Yeah.
John, do you want to tell us what they gave us with your synopsis for Spider-Noir episode 4?
Sure. Kat Hardy confirms Ben Reilly's suspicion that she hired Addison to kill Silvermane. She reasoned that the club boss wouldn't let her live a happy life with Flint Marko after Silvermane murdered her first fiancé. but Flint is listening into their discussion, and seeing them almost kiss, he feels betrayed and decides to return to work for Silvermane. As his first job, Silvermane uses Marko to intimidate Mer Morris into backing off on his campaign ending Prohibition. Meanwhile, Robbie and Janet interview Lonnie Lincoln at the office. After careful investigation, they learn the powers he, Addison, and Marko have come from experimentation on them when they were prisoners of war. He didn't know much detail, but directs them to Dr. Faber, who has been helping them. Ben and Kat spend the night at his place, where he reveals that his fiancée Ruby died from a criminal he caught seeking revenge. They both leave separately after hearing a metahuman is attacking the Diamond District. Both believe it's Flint Marko. But the metahuman is a criminal with the ability to absorb and release electricity. Ben arrives in his costume as the Spider and eventually defeats him by shutting off the power in the area to prevent him from storing any more electricity. Once defeated, Mayor Morris uses the Spider's victory to boost his re-election campaign. Later that night, after observing the battle in the Diamond District, Kat returns to Ben's apartment and deduces that he is the Spider. She throws herself out of the window and Ben uses his powers to save her before she kisses him. Whee!
Yes, kissy kissy.
Kissy kissy.
I guess
Throwy throwy, kissy kissy.
I guess learning that her partner of many years that will not travel away with her makes her choose somebody else pretty quick.
Yeah, I guess so. It seems like he left without really saying anything.
Yeah, she's a femme fatale.
She certainly is.
But
moves from pillar to post, shall we say?
Well, yes, but she is in love with the people. She is definitely connecting with old Ben all the way throughout this series as well. So
yes.
She had him in reserve, let's say. Flint Marko was the lover that she wanted to spend the rest of her life with, and he was there when Flint left.
Yes, her Joker.
That's it. Right, let's get into our web shots, John, for this episode.
Indeed, let us get into web shot number 1. Killer Cat. Mm-hmm. Yes. So Kat here actually does reveal her plot to murder old Finbar Byrne, Silvermane, because ultimately he was involved in the murder of her previous husband, fiancé. Lover, and she just knew the controlling type. You know, we have a great thing where he's sort of... we've seen where he's asking her to walk up and down in new different outfits and so on. Yeah. Like his prize stallion or something like that. Exactly. You know, really in that vein. And, you know, he's controls the club, effectively controls her.
Well, he certainly wants to, and that's basically the point that she's making. You know, she did fall in love. Someone proposed to her, and he was killed because she could possibly have left the club and left Silvermane behind. So she knew he would never allow her to have a happy life with anybody. So she kind of connects the dots. I think there was no doubt that Kat was the one responsible, but interesting to get the extra backstory here.
Yeah,
that
definitely.
She is doing this because of what he did to her. It's not just that she wanted to kill him. It's that he murdered her ex-fiancé, you know? Yeah,
no, absolutely. I mean, I think it's... I think we had Ben talk about how she's the fulcrum, the crucible that everything else has kind of happened from or off, and she's the one that pulls this all together. I do like the fact as well here that Silvermane as well is over at Cat Hardy's there after what went down the night before, and he's asking, well, why were you at the station? Now, she has a really good excuse for him, and I think it's really, really plausible. She goes, well, I was afraid you would kill me. Ben Reilly was watching me for you, so I was just afraid that you were going to kill me because of the way you were behaving, even though it wasn't anything to do with me. But I just like Silvermane is imbued with this incessant suspicion. He's always going to be asking questions about loyalty, about betrayal, about, whether he can trust you or not. And this comes back immediately, despite him thinking knowing that he's got the man who was the rat in his organization.
Well, exactly. And just to mention the big cliffhanger for next week, who did he shoot? He shot Gio, who was Winston's right-hand man.
Exactly.
And I love that he offers a job to Ben now that Ben sorted all that out. And Ben's like, well, I'm not really a fan of the retirement plan in your organization.
Yeah, no, that's a great moment.
Really
and yes, it's like, as we were watching about to get into the start of episode 4, I was like, yes, there was his second in command, Winston's sidekick, who had been following Ben Reilly. So that's when I kind of shouted "Eureka!" my Eureka moment.
Yes.
And luckily, it was
You're
Gio,
right.
Winston's second in command.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do like this notion of Silvermane then trying to recruit Ben Reilly into the organization to take on the role of Winston. But also we do get that next little moment in the Whiskey Watch as well. So here we have Silvermane saying we're going up a notch tonight, and we're going to get a bottle of Yellow Spot.
Yes, right.
So we had Green Spot.
We did.
We now have Yellow Spot. I am wondering if they are going to refer to another spot in the next episode.
Maybe.
Potentially.
Yeah. What's a Red Spot left?
There's Red Spot.
Yeah.
Yes, so I think it'll be Red Spot. But I am trying to think if there are any other colours in the spotted Whiskey Watch variety. I feel like a bird watcher.
Yeah, well, yeah, like we've gone from Whiskey Watch to Spot Watch, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
But in the Spot Whiskies, the red, yellow, and green are the only 3 that are really well known. You asked the question last time whether you weren't sure whether it would have been around back then. It was originally formulated in the 1800s, late 1800s, and became a place where Jameson would distill some of their whiskies for multiple years. So the Spot whiskey is basically a Green Spot is a whiskey that's been held for 5 years, Yellow Spot's for 10 years, Red Spot's I think for 3 years. So that's the shortest one of the 3, I think it is. I can't remember the order, but basically it's roughly that.
Yeah.
So Jameson would distill some of their whiskey from sitting just directly to market, and then they would give it to the Spot company, who would put it aside. But yes, they have an interesting little note on their website that Prohibition was difficult for all manufacturers, but luckily Spot Whiskey continued and went through it. So I think that's a little nod to maybe some of it was imported into the US during that
interesting.
time. So,
Yeah.
It's a very vague PR statement.
Because it's almost like a holding house, so it would be easier possibly to smuggle or illegally move it.
Potentially, I mean,
if I'm going on cost, then I think it might be green, yellow, red.
Oh, well, there you go. So maybe there's red next week.
But I'm going off cost. But it's still tasty.
Yeah.
It is my favourite Irish whiskey.
It is. If anybody wants to get something for John for his big birthday coming up next year, save it up.
Derek's is this year,
It is.
But he doesn't like that.
I'm not a big fan of whiskey.
No. But he'll get a nice big rum.
An 80-year-old rum, maybe.
Well,
something from the Pirates of the Caribbean store.
From the bottom of the Caribbean.
There you go. I think that's enough on Killer Cat, John. Let's get on to our web shot number 2.
Yes, we have Lonnie Lincoln hiding out in Harlem, of all places. Yeah, I like this. You kind of have Robbie heading off to find and track down Lonnie Lincoln. I do like the fact that, he's there with Janet at Ben's office, and Ben arrives in very drunk and very hungover after said Yellow Spot whiskey. He comes in and he's also needs scrambled eggs and sausages.
He does,
They call them links as well.
Sausage links. Yes. Yeah, they're the ones that connected together that you have to cut apart with a knife or regular sausages.
Regular sausages, yeah, exactly.
And the big difference in the US is that they have sausage patties, which we really don't do over here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's like sausage hamburgers, basically.
Like you get in McDonald's. I think there is a square sausage in Scotland. I can't remember. It's like really famous. Yeah, it's a sausage patty.
Right.
But I think it's squared off.
Yeah.
But it's quite famous. I think it's quite like kippers or something. It's gone on for quite a while.
Right.
Know?
Like kippers or something, because kippers, the things in the ocean, have been around for millennia.
No, sorry, I meant smoke kippers. Yeah,
Okay,
I guess. Right. It's kind of like that. No, it's not something new. They've just done them in that way,
right,
for ages. So,
I see. Well, John, smoke me some kippers. I'll be back for breakfast. We need to get back to Lonnie.
Yes, indeed.
But just to mention, yes, so he's out in Harlem. I think just it's interesting following on from the Hoovervilles last week that Lonnie then moves on to going to Harlem. And in Harlem, what we see when Robbie comes into the town is there are a lot of poor people, a lot of people getting fed from the local community organizations. Yeah. That's where Lonnie's hiding out. So he's moved from these kind of shanty towns into a whole area where, unfortunately, because of the Depression, lots of very, very poor people are living. So luckily, Ben's able to root him out, and they're able to take him back to discuss with him about where he got his powers, what was going on in France, and it takes a long time for both Janet and Robbie to get through to him to maybe say that they are trustworthy people that can help him out.
Yeah, I like this moment actually. Two reasons. One, I think just the portrayal of, again, it's not just it's the depression coming off the fact that the veterans were picked up because they were needed for the war effort. Huge amounts of people because of the nature of World War One that required lots of people to die in huge amounts for very little territory. Yeah. Even though America came in again towards the end of that war, huge conscription for people to go over. It's an opportunity in a lot of cases, or seen as that. Just shows you how desperate people were even then. But it's also then, the Great War Machine dumps you at the end of it. You're spat out. Exactly. You're not required because the US doesn't need, like most armies, doesn't need or can't afford to hold a standing army at such a high personnel level. So again, they're kind of let loose. It's way before anything considered to be a welfare state. So it's not just the depression. It's the fact that they've taken time out. They haven't stayed in the regular army. And so they're having to find ways of surviving. Yeah. They've given up to join the army. They've maybe given up a job. They may have done it to actually get out of the job. Who knows if they were married? Maybe their wife, fiance, girlfriend, whatever, doesn't want anything to do with them anymore. I mean, there's the PTSD element of it that no one would have talked about back in then, although, it would have been called kind of war fever, or there would be different names for it. So all of that contributing, and I think that depiction here of just simply sort of the local community in Harlem helping out with kind of a square meal once a day is really good. And I think that kind of, you see the edginess then in Lonnie Lincoln, and it kind of makes an awful lot of sense. Plus he's gone through, as we find out, these experiments that he was captured by the Germans. They did something to them, and I do like that Janet there as well slowly starts to make him feel at ease through the card game, just to give him that sort of other focus whilst he has conversation, kind of remove that anxiety, whatever. I just think it's a really nice touch, and I like how it flows out with where he starts talking about the experimentations that were that happened, as well as then the person who's looking after them, or they're going to, at least for answers whilst in America. Yeah,
and I think another key touch point to this kind of era in the US. You're talking about World War One, which was even more than World War II for the Americans, was a very patriotic time to stand up and join the army and travel to battle a world war with your allies against the enemy, right? The Americans joined World War II significantly later. So there would have been a huge amount of Americans who were affected by it. Not just people that went off to the war. You hear Janet saying all three of her brothers were in the army, and you hear Robbie saying that his were as well. So their conversation with Robbie here saying that, look, we've all been affected by it. We've heard before, Ben was also over there, you know, so everybody in this New York society has had the effect of the war on them, and now depression, unfortunately, has hit New York quite specifically, and everybody is feeling the effects of that as well. So they're bringing that community to the discussion with Robbie. They're showing them that I know he's in a really bad way, but they've all experienced it to some level. So they're able to get him to talk about his experience. And he's saying that he's being helped by a Dr. Faber, who hopefully we'll meet later on in the season, who seems to know a lot more about the situation that's gone on with these superpowered individuals and where they got it, right?
Yeah. Like Lonnie says, once it starts, it gets worse. So it's almost like whatever has happened, however it's happened, it's gradually sort of taking over the genetics, molecular level of the body.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned that about the Sandman character in the comics and in the movies and TV shows and stuff. Flint Marko as a character, when he's just a low-level bank robber or shop robber, he's okay. He's just doing it for money. But as the power of the Sandman seems to creep into him, he gets more and more corrupted and more villainous. And that's quite similar to what happened to Lonnie's character, who became Tombstone in the comic books and in the as I mentioned last time, the animated series. He starts out as just a normal kid, and as the creep of the power gets into his body, he becomes more and more villainous. So interestingly, they're saying here that the way the superpowers take over, they take over completely and they lose their minds a bit. So that seems to be what's happening with some of the other powered individuals again.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've kind of got that connection back now to World War One. So and the experiments, and we now have this name to latch on with Dr. Faber. So we can hopefully see them pop up in the next few episodes, I'm hoping. But should we get on to our web shot number 3?
Absolutely.
Silvermane chooses the mayor.
Oh, what a great scene and what a great part of this episode. You know, the initial moment when Silvermane is waiting. He's left waiting for the chief of police to turn up, Chief McNamara, who doesn't turn up for his appointment for Silvermane.
I love that.
I know. You're suddenly going,
cut the tension with a knife.
There's something really wrong here. He has not been stood up very often. And Silvermane goes out in the search for the mayor and for the chief, and finds the two of them having dinner together, where Mayor Morris once again is choosing somebody else to stand up against Silvermane. Silvermane is not happy about this at all. There's this great standoff between the two. He now has Flint Marko, who's been, I was going to say, driven away by overhearing what happened between Kat and Ben, but if you listen to what Lonnie said, it sounds like his mind is starting to get taken over by that villainous side. So he's now back working full time as the right hand man of Silvermane. And he walks into the room, smashes the table with one fist right in front of the mayor and of the chief of police. Interestingly, the chief of police just kind of calls out, no, it's fine. We're all friends here. Just having a disagreement. It's okay. Don't worry about it. And we hear the great line from Silvermane, "May the best man live."
Yeah, absolutely.
He challenged him to control of the city because Silvermane has effectively chosen every mayor before Morris and expects that he'll choose every mayor after him.
Well, he wants, Silvermane wants Mayor Hudson as the next mayor, or Hudson as he says. I really like this face-off, this kind of tete-a-tete happening between Mayor Morris and Silvermane. You have kind of Flint Marko lurking in the background, just this presence, which is really good. And he kind of throws the first punch, ultimately, as you say, by sort of breaking the table. But I also kind of, you have the mayor saying, well, I'm not backing down. Silvermane's not going to back down. So, like you say, let the best man live. But I do like Silvermane's kind of one of his parting shots to Mayor Morris that says, well, you've got balls, Morris, I'll give you that. And then you have Silvermane saying, well, let's start it to Flint. And yeah, I kind of just really enjoyed this. I mean, I like also the fact that whilst Morris is up for this kind of confrontation with Silvermane, Chief McNamara clearly isn't. He just wants a quiet life. And I like as well then, the complication ultimately here is that Mayor Morris is co-opting the Spider to his side of the election fight.
Absolutely.
And so by right, ultimately, it's against Silvermane, you would argue. So that brings this nice confrontation of whether Flint is turning evil or not. He has now repledged himself to Silvermane, and is ready to fight for the boss, as he says, because Silvermane actually welcomes him back. And so that's where he's pledged his allegiance and loyalty. So it's more out of that, at least for the time being.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the fact that he did see, I mean, well, he won't know that Spider is Ben Reilly, clearly, but he's seen Kat and Ben together, as you say, them having their sort of very personal conversation about how, Silvermane controls Kat Hardy. She says, what I were, who I see, what I do. And then you have her talking about her previous fiancé, Thomas, a dentist who dated her, bought a ring but killed by Silvermane, and that was the concern that would be repeated with Flint. And Flint overhears all of this tale to Ben, clearly not impressed and not happy, and that's what kind of sends him back into the arms of Silvermane, seeing that intimacy between the two, and that he, as he said, it was a fantasy for me to think that we could have that, because of his condition. Little does he know that Ben also has this condition.
Something similar. Yeah. But at least he goes back into the loving arms of Silvermane. Aww. Okay, not so loving arms.
Not so loving. No. Certainly very happy to see him, because Silvermane does understand that these powers are hugely commodities for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it really feels right now like we are getting into the DC universe, the Batman universe, like where Gotham started back in its first season. It was all about Sal Maroni and the crime families, and then suddenly as the superpowered individuals come up, either they start working for the crime bosses, or they start taking over the crime families.
They realize their own value and that it's more than these crime bosses.
So who's going to step out as the Penguin to take over from Silvermane here? Which of these superpowered individuals is going to step up to be the new crime boss? I think I would say comic book wise, I would say maybe Tombstone would be the person that would lead these kind of groups. But we'll see how that goes as the season goes on.
Absolutely.
But what a really interesting idea here that we have Silvermane going up against toe to toe against the mayor. That seems to be the real central idea that we have here, that the mayor doesn't want to lose power, and Silvermane believes he's the one that controls the power in the city. So so a cool little toe to toe here.
Or tete-a-tete.
Yes, or tete-a-tete, yes.
Indeed. Shall we get on to our web shot number 4, Derek?
Yes. Ooh, because we have a new super in town.
We do.
Yeah, there was a really great moment where we had Kat and Ben about to kiss when Flint Marko was watching on, and then the news radio interrupts with a brand new news story about a superpowered individual down the Diamond District, and Kat assumes it's Flint Marko and goes, "Oh, we got to get down there right now," and Ben also assumes it's Flint Marko and goes, "No, I think we're okay."
Absolutely.
Thinking he's going to get down there as a spider because he probably needs to use his abilities, not run down there as Ben Reilly. But I love from a moment where they were about to kiss, it turns into a moment where the two of them kind of distrust each other. So he's looking at Kat going, "You're going to go down there for your ex-boyfriend?" And she's looking at him going, "You're not going to go down there by my side? You're just going to laze around here?"
I do like as well that even for the audience, we all think it's Flint Marko, because we have Silvermane having just said, "Let's start it" to Flint. And so you do think it's Flint terrorizing this Diamond District. But yeah, ultimately it's not. It is Electro.
It is Electro, yes.
I really like this fight. I love the use of the electricity from Electro. I like it's almost a bit like a drug, because he has to charge up. to get the powers back
Okay.
to use. So he's there charging back up.
Yeah, it's like a battery, John, like a drug.
No, I know, no, but it's not just, it is a battery, but it's more than that because he is getting off on it in a sense.
Yeah, he's
loving it, and he knows he's different when he's fully charged.
Absolutely.
So it becomes a drug, and I just like how it, like through the water. I like how he's using it against the spider here. I just think this battle is really good because Ben Reilly in that suit is having to work overtime to deal with this this criminal effectively because he is souped up. I like the fact that once he does eventually stop Electro, that you have Morris hijacking that moment, where he says, we've teamed up to save the city. And like, you just have Ben Reilly going, what now? You know, stop saying
photos.
that.
Stop taking the photographs.
You know, so again, immediately pitting, the spider against Silvermane here because of the association.
Well, yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how Silvermane deals with Ben Reilly or what he says to Ben Reilly about this in some of the upcoming episodes. Let's just see how it plays out. But it's really intriguing for me. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed the little fight in the Diamond District between Electro and the Spider.
Yeah, it was really good. It was kind of, you know, we haven't really seen a huge amount of the Spider up against the villains. We've seen a little bit of the Spider up against Silvermane's guys, but seeing Spider work out how to take out the guy with electric powers, you know, that's really cool. Again, having another one of the major supervillains from the Spider-Man canon in here in Electro. You know, we've had Tombstone, Sandman, and now Electro. You know, are we going to get the Rhino and Green Goblin somehow merged in here in the future? Silvermane's another one of the Rogues Gallery for Spider-Man, but he has hundreds. So yeah, will we get Morbius coming in saying it's morbing time at some point? Probably
I'd
not.
prefer to see Doc Ock before Morbius.
Yeah, that'd be really funny if we had a guy arriving on 8 wooden crutches, maybe as Doc Ock, or maybe Doc Faber is Dr. Octave Faber.
No, not at all.
No,
stretch too far.
Okay,
but like metal was invented in the 1930s.
It was, but not the metal legs that he has that control his mind. They aren't invented now.
But they're not invented now. The point
is
is like the only thing we need for them to be is metal, not wood
true.
or papyrus,
multiverse,
or like tablets of stone.
Yes,
it's
true.
Just
In fact, this whole show could actually be taking place in present day, just in a different universe that's still set in the 30s. Or
exactly.
But anyway, it would be kind of cool to see even more of Spidey's Rogues Gallery in here, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a nice little Rogues Gallery happening here.
But the fight itself, really good fun, and it was a really long fight between Spider and Electro. Really enjoyed it, and again, liked him working out how to take him out by taking out all the power in the area. That's what a cool idea. That's it for our penultimate point. Will we go on to our final?
I think so. We should head on. We should whip our way to web shot number 5. Yes, Kat deduces Ben's secret.
She does. Not the only PI in
No,
this
exactly.
show at all,
She spots something in the fight with Electro where she can see that is the actions of a Ben Reilly, and ultimately gets some kind of verification of that because after only being away from Ben Reilly for maybe an hour or 2 hours at most or something like that, he now has huge amounts of bruises around his face. And he says, well, I walked into a door.
How many times?
Yeah, exactly. So it's just really good. And of course, she then tests out her theory with a little fall out of the window. Yeah,
I was trying to think where I first remember this from. This is very famously the Lois Lane throwing herself off a building so Superman could save her. I definitely remember that. But I also remember Gwen Stacy falling off a building and Spider-Man trying to save her, and she was thrown off a bridge, sorry, by Green Goblin. But I remember Spidey trying to save her, and it killed her because he broke her back because he wasn't able to catch her properly with the with his webbing. So Kat was playing a dicey game. She may not have known it, but she was playing a dangerous game, throwing herself out of the window, hoping that Ben would save her with his webbing.
Yes, she certainly does the test.
Thankfully. Yeah,
she takes the test.
Uh-huh.
But she is ultimately proven right, yes, as he does catch her with his thwipping web.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think this is really interesting because it always begs the question, doesn't it? Well, if she works this out, who else has?
Well, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and I like that because, despite how careful you might think you're being as the Spider-Man, as some other superhero, good or evil, there is always the chance of it being found out.
Well, without a doubt, and there's lots of people in his life that do actually know. You know, we know Janet seems to know, and
Robbie
knows. Yeah. So, well, maybe Janet doesn't know. We just feel she does because she's smart.
I think she knows there's an association between the two of them. Whether she knows that Ben Reilly is the Spider, I'm not entirely sure. I think I would have said yes, she did.
Yeah.
From the conversations in episode 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But just the way she talks about the Spider, when's he coming back? And she says it to him in the first person.
True.
So it's like, when are you coming back?
Yeah,
I think.
So she does know. Yeah.
So I think she does know.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. But yes, a really interesting one. And then as Kat is saved and brought up by Ben, we hear the nice to meet you, Mr. Spider. And then they actually do kiss to close out the episode.
I know.
With another woo.
Woo. I know. Tongues at dawn.
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically. After a bit of electro going on.
Yeah.
Must have been electric.
Must have been, yes. Oh, wasn't that shocking a moment? Right, enough of the puns.
Yes, indeed.
Any notes about the episode, John? You want to mention anything we haven't talked about?
No, none from me.
Yeah,
Derek, what about yourself?
No, pretty straightforward, but really good episode. I really enjoyed it. There's just one great moment when Ben is talking to Kat. Just the mirrored shot of the two of them speaking together, I think, was really, really cool to watch on screen. Really enjoyed that scene. There's been some great directing moments throughout the series so far, and that's another one of those up there with the best.
Yes, good stuff. Derek, do you defend this episode of Spider-Noir, episode 4? A mistake I'll never make again.
Yeah, halfway through, loving the pacing, loving the show, really enjoying what they're delivering here with this cool PI detective show set in the 30s Marvel universe. And again, just that little addition of another superpowered individual when you suspect it was going to be Sandman, when you suspect it was going to be Sandman, and it turned out to be Electro. I love that. I think that's really cool. It's the idea that you could have 50 other superpowered individuals out there. There's lots of people in that photograph that were tested on in World War I. So it could have people all over the place that are Spider-Man's rogues gallery, all caused by whatever this experimentation happened in World War I. So that's cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That picture may tell 1,000 stories in the end.
How about you, John? Do you defend the 4th episode of Spider-Noir?
Yeah, I really do defend this episode. Give it 4 Merrill honks out of 5. I think this is a really nice pacing, given the end of episode 3. I like how it kind of pulls it in a bit, with a much more personal story, certainly for Kat and Ben.
Yeah.
And how it connects out to the likes of Flint, just Flint seeing, Ben and Kat having that kind of personal moment in the theatre where she started off as she's telling her life story to him, I think is really interesting. I like that we have Lonnie's story here, and just that really good aspect of knowing the era around the food kitchens in Harlem, Lonnie being sort of effectively suffering from PTSD, not just because of World War I, but because of being a prisoner and because of ultimately the experimentation. I like that Janet is the one to almost bring him out of his shell here. So this is all really good. And, we have Mayor Morris being sort of more fully integrated into the story now, and that kind of sort of story arc being brought in.
Yeah.
The fight with Electro, superb. I thought there was going to be probably more of Electro. Not to say that there won't be, but seemingly he is captured and probably off the table for the rest of the series.
Yeah.
But ultimately,
I don't believe that he's there.
No, that's true. But
I think we might have the Sinister Six by the end of the season. We just need
possibly
need two more super powered individuals added to the Sinister Six versus Spider-Noir.
Possibly, yeah. And then ultimately, the great gamble from Kat that, luckily for her, pays off with a thwip and a snog from Ben Reilly. Woo!
Excellent stuff.
So 4 Merrill honks out of 5.
Fantastic. Let's get on to some thoughts from our fellow defenders, John.
Indeed, yes. First up, we have an email from our defender, Coffee and Vodka. Greetings, fellow Lights Out defenders. Took in the first 4 episodes in black and white, and looks like that's the best way to continue. So much better. The pacing remains very much in the PI vein with all the, in this case, welcome tropes that come with it. And outside of our femme fatale changing her emotional ties as often as her clothes, the show remains entertaining. Megawatt was fun, though I didn't know why they couldn't have gone with Electro. But it's a small gripe. Finally, the Gwen Stacy homage was nice and non-fatally cute. Looking forward to the Silvermane versus the Mayor battle to come. 4.5 plunging necklines, sloppy schlocky shock fests, and unwanted political alliances out of 5. Peace and take care. Coffee and Vodka.
Great stuff, Coffee and Vodka. Yeah, caught lots of things that we caught. Megawatt instead of Electro. That must be a very different Spidey member of the Rogues Gallery there.
Yeah, I didn't catch any name, if I'm totally honest.
Just assumed Electro because Electro's such a big character in the Spideyverse.
But Megawatt,
must
could have called him Amper.
Well, no, I think what Coffee and Vodka is mentioning is that there is another villain in the comics called Megawatt, who I guess has to repower himself constantly from the local lighting. Must have to check. I'll have to check that out before the next episode. Coffee and Vodka, nice little catch there.
Yeah, good catch indeed.
Yeah. As always, though, your out of 5s are second to none. Plunging necklines is a great call for Cat there.
Oh, definitely.
Love it. Thanks, Coffee and Vodka.
Yeah, thanks, Coffee and Vodka.
Over on Discord, Joe Herbst says, Kat moved on from Flint surprisingly quickly.
Yes, indeed she did.
And Cage cracking all his joints in that chair was great. It was. Yeah, that moment when he's just sitting there waiting for Kat to arrive, just going, oh, what a day. I need to crack all my joints. I know that feeling on a Friday evening. And Dr. Bob Phillips shares his thoughts. He says, cracking weaving of more of the Detective Noir tropes in this one, the shoe-shined cigarette guy, the repeat calls that lead to accidental shouting, a secret knock, and a drinking competition that the hero loses.
Exactly.
And I did like them choosing not to end on a cliff faller, but go straight in for the kiss. That was a nice change, wasn't it, Dr. Bob?
Yeah, absolutely. The old drinking competition as well. Really good. I do like that he comes in wasted the next day. Because you just don't see that. I think the portrayal even of itself is quite tropey, but it's kind of how I feel I behave if I've got a hangover.
Oh, without a doubt. But yeah, very, very reminiscent of Marion Ravenwood in Raiders of the Lost Ark and her drinking competition.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Where she is absolutely wasted but doesn't show it, which is why she wins the competition. Great stuff. Thanks, Dr. Bob, for your thoughts.
Thanks, Dr. Bob, and thanks, Joe Herbst.
And if you want to send in your thoughts for any of the episodes, email us into feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com or pop on over to our Facebook group or to our Discord, details of which are on the show notes right here. But we will be back next week with our chat about 2 more episodes of the show. Next time, we're talking about Spider-Noir, episode 5, Betrayal.
Indeed we are. Keep your feedback coming in, fellow defenders. We love to get your thoughts on each of these episodes. But until next time, fellow defenders, keep watching, keep listening, and of course, keep defending.
Bye.
Bye.